Hey guys, gonna start new blog here or YouTube thing on vintage MX because there's a lot of websites out there that guys are getting bikes from the 70s, 80s. Don't know the first thing about them. Don't even know what what half the thing the call the parts, the proper name or anything. I'm an old guy, used to ride this stuff, so I kind of know it. I lived it basically. Tore bikes apart from when I was a kid, so I thought maybe we get maybe a little more in depth on these bikes, and then really try to figure out what the manufacturers were doing and all. Not just whipping the bike up and down the street, saying how fast it goes. Who cares? You want to know what technology what they're thinking with the suspension and that kind of stuff. Here's a YZ 125. A 78 I was working on. I bought it off Craigslist. Paid too much for it for sure because it looked great in the pictures, but it was sad, man. Really bad shape. But as you see now, it's almost 100. Back to 100%. I just can't find the right Yamaha labels for the tank. Everyone I'm getting, from my sources are just bad. They're too wide or too narrow and just don't look right. But I was able to get a lot of OEM parts. I don't go stupid on them. I get what I can. I don't worry about the nuts and bolts. I just if you take them apart and start blasting them and send them out to get redone, it costs you like $2 a bolt or nut, and just get them aftermarket. They're a lot cheaper. This thing's functionable. I mean, it had a lot of good parts on it. The guy had the DC plastics, the seat cover, he had a new tire on it, but it was the wrong size, and the cylinder was fresh bore, but we'll get into that later. Here it's a 79 cylinder on a 78, and he used a 78 head gasket, which doesn't work on a 79. 79 has a round head gasket that's pushed in, that's indented into the cylinder, so a little bit different. But for the most part, I mean, I found a wheel on eBay, and I just unspoked it, polished it, and put it back together, and did the hub and everything. There's just a lot wrong with it. I had to redo everything, basically. He had an aftermarket, one of them silencers you buy for $149 from AMS or something like that was wrong, so I adapted a Pro Circuit Shorty or Factory Sound, something like that. I forget what it was. But, I got a lot of work into it. Not much money, but a lot of work into it, and I got OEM where I could get OEM. Did a frame strip down. I really don't care about powder coating or anything like that. I just blasted the frame and did it in like a ceramic black paint. I think I got from Duplicolor, engine black or something. Works nice. I mean, if you're gonna ride these things, who cares? These guys going out powder coating and all, that's fine if you're into that. I'm just into getting the bike up, functioning, and getting it together. It should have yellow fork boots, but man, go try to find them. It's like impossible unless you want to pay through the nose for them. So I'm still looking. It has a goofy front. I put a Pirelli in the front to match the back, but here it ended up being more like a straight tread. So if I can find something there, I'll redo it. For the most part, it's all redone now. I did believe it or not, the swing arms painted. It's called like Alumicast paint from, because I had nicks and scratches all over, so I welded it. I tigged them all up, but here I want to send it out to get anodized, and they really can't do anything. And I used the wrong rod. Like down here, it was all rubbed through. All rubbed through in there where the brake rod was hitting. This piece was gone. I had to recreate it and all that. It's all scratched up inside here. It's all nicked up. So I welded it all up and sanded it back out. And So I was able to find this paint that really works and holds up good. It's like a also ceramic base paint. Now the only thing this needs, I wasn't able to do anything with the rear wheel yet because I can't get half the spokes out, and I can't find a spoke set for it unless I buy, I guess, something from Buchanan or whatever. But it really wasn't that important at the time. But apparently in '78 these bikes were a little down. They're a pipey motor, and so the '79 changed. So this has a '79 cylinder on it, and makes it a little bit different. It has the flanges, the exhaust flanges built into the motor housing to the cylinder cast in, where the '78 had a flange on there that went into the pipe. So this probably has a '79 pipe as well. A lot of other parts interchange exactly though. I mean, it's the same bottom end the 100 has, up to the 175 actually, same bottom end. So, but I got, I was able to find like the brake lever on eBay, and most of the other stuff I get from Yamaha I got, as long as it didn't, I didn't want to put too much into it. Bike's probably only worth $2,000. I mean, put all that time into it, but it's worth what it's worth. But like I said, I got Yamaha stickers for the tank, stuff like that. She starts up, runs like brand new, just sits and idles, and runs good. For its time, it was limited in travel. I think it had 7 inches in the back and 7 up front. I set the forks a little lower. They should be up probably another 1/2 inch, 3/4. And the manual just says, you have to ride it and set it where you like it. I just rode it up and down the street. I really didn't get it into the dirt, but I figured I was going to just blow it out. But yeah, if interested, I'll get this thing up running and see what it does. But there's a lot of stuff when you go to I use a semi-gloss black on the motor, ceramic, so it holds up the heat and everything. I use that on the head. The frame's like a little higher gloss black. Polished the forks up, just clear coated it. I don't even know what color it's supposed to be. I'm pretty sure they were a little bit shiny like that on Yamaha. Got most of the nicks out. Had to really weld the crap out of a pipe. That thing was hard to find a pipe that wasn't all smashed up. Kind of welded it up and ground it out smooth with a flapper wheel and repainted it. And getting this kicker was a pain. It came with an aftermarket new kicker. But I don't know if it's coming back. Yeah. But anyhow, that a lot of close-ups on the bike here. You can see how it did. I had to buy the sprocket through. I forget where I got it. Somebody made a sprocket for it. It's a different pattern, but it's the original teeth, the 54 teeth. I think it's black originally, and maybe it was even a metal one. I really don't know. But like I said, the nuts and bolts I replaced. I made my own chain guides here because I couldn't get them anymore. I put a newer style shifter on it with the folding lever. Actually has the ignition was messed up when I got it, so it has I bought a 100 for parts, so I use that ignition for now, but it's pretty easy to work on, so I'm going to straighten that out and put the right one back in, but it doesn't really matter. They're all the same. But that's the bike. I mean, you guys interested in this kind of stuff? I got a lot of projects I work on, and I just got a mess in here. I mean, that's just the way it is. Because that's I bought this bike for a few dollars just to get interested in seeing it, because it really runs sweet. Just sits up and idles and takes throttle good. I got to mess with a few things. It leaks a little. I need some kind of rubber boot here because it leaks a little exhaust out there. Can't find a pipe for it any place. Can't find an aftermarket, so I kind of had to do that. Modify the silencer and stuff like I said before. But it's neat. It's real spiky power band. From what I can find, I never had one of these when I was younger, but I was a Kawasaki guy back then, so But it's kind of neat. But yeah, I got to try to get some of these bikes on and running, and pretty much stock except for it's an 80 over Weisco. Can't find another cylinder for it, but I was at a show the other week, swap meet, and one of the places where they do vapor blasting, they had the cylinder, the head sitting there, and I noticed that the number was a 2K6, which is 78. So the guy was just showing what kind of work they do. So he said, we just got an old bike and ripped the cylinder and head off. Well, the cylinder was in good shape, so I bought the cylinder. This was broke right here. You could see where the clutch boss was. I tigged it back. That whole piece was missing. It looks pretty good. I mean, once it's on a bike, you're never going to see it. But now I got a cylinder that's only 50 over, in good shape. So I got a piston while I was at the show. So I'll have the original head and cylinder for that 78. See the man? It has a manifold that goes on here. The flange, an O-ring, the seal, the flange, and an O-ring. The 79 head that's on that one has actually a flange coming out of the cylinder, similar to the 250 right here. This is a 79 250. But yeah, I got a couple of projects I'll be working on. I'll try to post stuff if I can out there, because a lot of this stuff they're showing, there's guys that race them and on the vintage class, but these guys are finding these bikes. I mean, I wish I had the money to do like they do, and they just whip them up and down the street, and they don't know nothing about them. I know this thing inside out. I had it, apart down to the last shim on the transmission and rebuilt it. And running, it's a neat bike for its time. That thing's 50 years old, 51 years old now. And kind of put one back with the original lever purchase and all. Of course, I put aftermarket grips. I got original handlebars for like $50 from Yamaha. Some of the stuff, man, is cheap from Yamaha. It's not the original front number plate, but it came with that, so that's what we're keeping. You can still buy this part from Yamaha, not the strap, and they give you this for the bottom. Just a lot of little stuff I put aftermarket. I just bought new bolts for it. I can give you links to that stuff. The only thing I got to do is I got to put the bottom out bumper in the shock. The shock works good, but the bottom out bumper's gone. So I gotta take the shock apart. I might even post a video doing that, because a lot of people don't know these monoshocks. These things come apart. There's a 250 one there. I'm gonna put a seal kit in that. Here's a 100 one. See, and I could tell you how to get these apart, because they're really. I did shocks since I was 17, so. If you're interested in that, I can show you how to get these apart. They're not supposed to come apart, but I can get these apart. And that's a seal head off of Kawasaki. Actually fits in there. And you can mess with the dampening real easy. But yeah, that's it for this time. But man, check back in, and I'll see if I can get a better day. Get this thing out and running. Maybe by then I'll have my Yamaha stickers on the tank. Like, I'm just going to have to put one of them on and just deal with it. All right, like I said, Vintage MX, I'm Steve, and I'll be talking to you. See you later.